Good afternoon. I'd like to call the Traffic Commission hearing of August 22nd to order. Members present, Police Chief James Guido, City Engineer Nick Rystrom, Fire Chief Chris Bright, and myself, Paul Agenzio, Superintendent of Public Works. If we could salute the flag, please. Okay, the first items on the agenda are public hearings. Number one, Mr. Robert Button will address the Traffic Commission in regards to Overlook Ridge improvements. Mr. Buttons?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Robert Button with CDM Smith, 75 State Street in Boston. And I'm here tonight as a follow-up to our meeting a couple of weeks ago to talk about the Overlook Ridge project and specifically about a proposed pedestrian signal that we want to install at the existing exit or from the fire station, as shown on the plans that are attached here now. The effort to install this signal is in part anticipated in advance of the new fully signalized intersection that we're working with Mass DOT and both cities on to accommodate the future development. But the thought, as we presented back in June, was that if we could make an immediate improvement to pedestrian safety, that we wanted to try to get that in front of the commission as soon as we can and get it approved. So what we're proposing is a pedestrian crossing signal, automatic Hawk system signal, as shown on the plans. The signal would be located in such a way that folks could get across the street safely with appropriate safe stopping distances both in the eastern and western direction. It would connect with existing sidewalks on both sides of the street. And then it would be in a location, as I had said before, where a future signal is proposed for the full build out of the site. I have a package of 4 drawings that I gave you folks. The existing condition, or the first drawing, is the proposed plan with all the technical information and details on the signal itself. The second plan is just the same information with an ortho photo presented underneath so folks could get themselves oriented to the existing off-ramp from Route 1, the existing Salem Street alignment, as well as the existing exit from the current fire station itself. The third plan in the package shows you what we had just spoke about, as well as an expanded view to the east, picking up the existing Overlook Ridge Drive and the existing crosswalk that's there now. What we're proposing to do is eliminate that crosswalk and direct all pedestrian traffic to the new location, which will be coordinated with the bus stops and the folks going to and from the site, but it'll still allow access to the park and to the bike trails and everything across the street from this. This would be done in lieu of putting in a full signal at Overlook Ridge Drive, but again, would be anticipating working through the process to have state highway approval for next spring and construction of a signalized intersection in the summer of next year. But we could begin work and install this before the end of this construction season. So the thought was we'd be better off to get something in the ground sooner rather than later. So that's what our proposal is. We've also the fourth piece of information, just so you have it, is some existing crash data that we had presented previously with respect to the intersection and the roadway network around it. Okay. On that information, we've been working with the city and with Mass DOT on.
Okay, and this pedestrian signal, would this flash yellow until somebody presses the button, or would it be? Or
it was self-automated when someone walked up to it and they were sensed by the sensors, it would also light up yellow as well. It wouldn't be a red light, it would be a yellow flashing light.
And then when someone wanted to cross, it would be a red light? Or just?
It'd be a yellow flashing.
Yellow flashing, okay.
Just traditional pedestrian crossing.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if someone's crossing, why wouldn't we want it to be a red light?
We can change it to red if you
Right.
want. Yeah, we can change that to red.
If it's going to be a cross signal that the light's red.
Sure, that's not a
Okay.
problem, Chief. We can do that.
Okay,
We can change that at all, no problem.
that's fine.
So what we would request is that the commission approve this plan, and then we would work with Mass DOT to get their final approval, just like we did with the radar signs that we were here a few weeks ago, and again, begin to construct this probably late September, early October.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this? Anybody opposed to this? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Okay. Do I have a Motion from the,
Motion to approve the signal?
Mr. Chairman, on the motion, Bob, they're going to move the bus stop? Yes. Okay. I'll second it.
okay? Okay, all in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Aye.
Thank you. The next item is amend Schedule 9 of Title 10 resident parking sticker areas by adding Centennial Ave from Campbell Ave to Arlington Ave, 24/7. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this? Anyone in opposition? Okay. This was a request put in by Councilor Novoselsky. I believe he's on vacation. Do you wish to move on this, or any
Yeah, motion to move the amendment.
motion to approve? Okay. Second?
I'll second it. Mr. Chairman, in the future, can we have parking control weigh in on these requests?
We certainly can. Okay.
I'll
so-
second this motion.
Second, okay. All in favor, all opposed? So ordered, thank you. Number 3, the Endicott Ave 60-day trial period will be reviewed to determine if it will remain a one-way or will be reverted back to a two-way. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of it going back to a two-way? Please take the, try to limit your comments to 2 or 3, I guess, 2 or 3 minutes.
I'll keep it quick. Good afternoon. Ken Orn, 138 Endicott Ave. Turning this into a two-way street, one-way street has actually made things worse for the folks up in the center part of Endicott Ave. We're still dealing with an awful lot of situations where the traffic from Winthrop has now realized it's a one-way street. So the folks coming up Winthrop Ave, heading down into Beachmont, are moving a lot faster. No one's come up to enforce the one-way street signs that, no parking signs that have been put on the east side, which was just done about 5 weeks ago. The folks at the bottom end of Endicott Ave have complained about the congestion, but as long as you have people parking on that side of the street, as long as you have 2 daycare centers operating down there across from the bus stop, there's going to be congestion down that end. But up on our end, where it's a very inconvenient situation for us to get to our homes, when we're heading down the street, we have people backing up from Leverett Ave trying to get to their homes because they don't want to go up and around. You got the people on Brad Street that are absolutely pissed off about the traffic that is coming up and around because they're coming at quite a clip. You've basically pitted one neighborhood against another, or I should say one block against the other, because it's only a 3-block area that we're dealing with. There needs to be something done on Endicott Ave. The most serious accidents have actually happened in front of our home. A car has turned upside down, spun around, a tree has been hit 3 times, our fence has been taken down twice. The folks down the end of the street have been sideswiped, mirrors, a little bit of surface damage to their cars. That's expected on any street. I think the chief could tell you, any street in the city, this could happen. But the serious part is on our end where there's an open straightaway. At least down the other end, it gets a little bit more congested, they have to slow down. But we need it back as a two-way street. If something has to be done, let's talk about blocking the other end of Endicott Ave to stop the Winthrop residents from coming up Endicott Ave and using it as a pass-through. They're trying to beat the traffic to the station. So when they take that left and they fly down Endicott Ave, I don't have a speedometer, I can't track how fast they're going, but my common sense will tell me they're doing 35, 40 miles an hour. The bus comes down at 40 miles an hour because there's no traffic coming up to oppose it. You can look at the trees in front of our house that'll show you where the bus has cut out the tree. But you folks will decide. Just to let you know, it's not pleasing to everybody in the center part of Endicott Ave.
Thank you, Mr. Horn. Anyone else wishing to speak? Please state your name and address.
John Jufrey, excuse my appearance, I won't go into it.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. 2 Bellingham Avenue in Revere. But I'm also talking for other people on Endicott. My cousin is one of them, okay? Just for going around, I'm talking about Bellingham right now myself. My cousin would like it two-way again because they have to go all the way around. And if you've been in the neighborhood during the winter months, even coming up from the lower end, cutting across, it's unreal.
Is this
Brad
Endicott?
Street,
Is this Endicott you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's how we used to go just to make it, you know, up on Bellingham. Brad Street also, this gentleman spoke correctly about the excessive traffic that's going up Brad Street. And people that live right on that lower section of Brad Street, where I always call it the Five Fingers, right? During the winter, you try getting up that hill. Okay? It's just unreal. I mean, I think that's about all I can say, but I've lived here for 64 years. No, actually 65 now. Okay? And I've always never had a problem with the buses, like some people try to say. Right? The buses have been courteous. I've been courteous. Everybody I've seen that's been ahead of me has been courteous to the buses. And the winter, hey, if we get a nice summery winter, fine. But if it comes down to a bad winter, it's going to be hell to everybody. I think I've just about covered it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody else,
Thank you.
for listening.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of going back to two ways?
Hi, I'm
Hi.
Loretta Chiarella, 125 Endicott, and I'm right in the middle next to Ken.
Okay.
Number one, it has become a speedway. Everyone flies down it. My main concern is the winter. We're going to have to go up a hill at all times to get home, which they don't plow the hills, they don't take care of the hills like they do Endicott. We're going to have to go up Brad Street, or we're going to have to go down Winthrop Ave, and if the floodgates are closed, we're in even more trouble because we're not going to be able to get up to our street because the water's going to be coming over the wall at Short Beach. So that's one of my major concerns is the winter of us having to go up a hill to get on our street. The other day I went to my street, had to go up the hill to Brad Street, got stuck behind a medical, had to back down the street to Sales Ave, go back down Crest Ave to start where I started on Endicott, to go all the way down Winthrop Ave just to get to my house, which was ridiculous. Where I started on my street to begin with and had to go all the way around the world twice.
Okay.
But the main concern really is the winter.
Thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else wishing to speak, keeping it, making it two ways again?
My concern is the winter also.
And your name and address, please?
Sherry Desmond, 106 Endicott Ave. I'm one of the people that live in the middle of the street.
Okay.
And for me to get home, we have to cross over 4 streets, go up the hill. And in the wintertime, we're just going to be sliding into people's driveways and homes.
Okay.
And like she said, when the floodgates are open, you can't even go to make that hairpin turn to get up Endicott.
Okay.
All day long, there's people backing up, people parking on both sides of the road. That never got taken care of. We never had a problem before, even with the bus or fire engines.
Okay.
So,
Thank you for
it
your
goes
comments.
back.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Please take the...
Hi, I'm Arlene Cronin, and 34 Bellingham Avenue. I have to speak about the fact that Endicott Ave is a wider street than most of the streets. They have one-sided parking. They have many driveways along the way. Now you're sending traffic down to Jones Road, George Ave, and Henry Ave, which are two-sided parking, two-way streets, which are very congested. And that's one of my issues that I'm concerned about, is the safety, because there's a children's park there. And also, just for a practical reason, I personally don't like using Brad Street in the winter. It's very slippery, so that's going to send everybody out to the lights on Winthrop Ave, on the center, Beachmont Center, and also to Winthrop Parkway, which that other lady mentioned, if it's flooded, then that cuts down on our access. So Endicott Ave is really an access to most of the area. And I just have one suggestion.
Sure.
That if it goes back to a two-way, that a sign up the top that would say two-way traffic ahead would be helpful. Because I noticed that the other day, that they could use a sign up there if it goes back. And that's it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in making this a two-way street again? Okay, closing that side. Anyone wishing to keep it a one-way?
Good afternoon, Tom Belshner, 28 Endicott Ave. Listening to what they have to say, I really can't speak for that Endicott Ave. I live at the very beginning, excuse me. And I do have to say, safety issue, safety reasons why, I think it's working wonderfully. Many times I'm walking down the street with my dogs and buses, trucks, cars, hopping up on the sidewalk when it was a two-way street. In the wintertime, same thing. It gets congested where we are. If there's any kind of snow, it just becomes a big cluster and basically a lot of arguments. I haven't really seen a fist fight yet, but I've seen some things that come very close to it. So again, safety issues on my end of the street, I'm in favor of keeping it one way. So, but I understand what the other people are saying, so I would adhere to whatever you guys decide. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in keeping this a one-way street? Okay, hearing and seeing none. Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilor McKenna, Ward 1. So before, when we did this, we didn't realize that all the little streets around Endicott would be impacted. And the other thing we didn't think about is the flooding when they closed the floodgates. So I just wanted to bring that up. I was down there the other day. I did see the bus probably going about 40 miles an hour. Do I think it's working? I don't know. I don't live down there. But like I said, I think we need to look at all the other little streets that surrounded George Ave, Henry Street, Jones Road. You can't even get down. One car can't even get down there. So I think we have to look at all the little bugs, all the little problems first before we decide that we're going to make this a one-way street. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Anyone else wishing to speak on this subject? What's the feeling of the commission?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
as you know, we had a meeting at the police station over a month ago. It was a lot of residents, and they seem to be divided down the middle, half to keep it and half not to keep it. I think we should delay a vote for 30 days and maybe ask the mayor if we could do a traffic study on all the other streets around Endicott Ave and maybe get a better flow of traffic, or look into the feasibility of being able to take a left turn from Leverett onto Endicott. We'd have to redo the island there, but we could maybe look at some other options and make a decision before the winter. The whole purpose of this was for the winter, to have it one way, because when it snows, it's impassable. And I know firsthand, because I've been up there 20 years, every snowstorm. So that's all I have to say.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Rice.
I just was wondering if we could get the fire chief's input just on as far as accessibility for fire apparatus with the two-way versus the one-way, if there's significant difference or significant obstruction in that regard.
I think it's always a tough area. It's going to be difficult no matter what we do. We'll find a way to get through. I mean, with this trial period, I mean, I don't think there's a good indication. That wouldn't be an indicator how we'd be able to respond. The winter time would be a true test, I would say, for sure. But at the end of the day, I think as long as it's, I mean, we've gotten through there for 100 years, we'll get through there, continue to get through there. And whatever configuration works best up there for the residents, really.
Okay, so Chief Guy, do you recommend delaying this 30 days until we do a little bit more research on?
Well, I know, however, each one of us votes, half are going to be happy and half are not going to be happy.
Right.
So if we could come up with a solution that would make the majority happy, I think we should at least explore that. So I'll make a motion that we delay the vote till the next traffic commission meeting, and in the interim, try to do some sort of a traffic study and make some other recommendations that could help the neighbors who have to go all the way around.
Okay, so the motion on the floor to delay this vote 30 days to our next Traffic Commission hearing. Anyone second that?
Just a point of clarification, that's with the understanding that a traffic study or further investigation of the streets around that area would be looked at in the interim?
Yes, I don't know who would do this traffic study in this short period of time.
Understood.
That might be a little problematic,
Right.
getting a study done in that a short period of time. Yes, Councilor McKenna.
Thank you. You have to also look at the hill that they have to, the two hills that they have to come up, the residents, during snowstorms. And I know I've been on the plows with Jimmy Mercurio, and that's impassable. So, and down below, it's a flat line up to Endicott Ave. So if you're going to do a traffic study, you have to look at the hills that these people have to come up to during a storm. It's not going to be easy. So and they can't go down Bellingham's, it's two-sided parking. One car can fit down there. So those streets are impassable during the snowstorms.
Thank you. Point? Sure. Take the,
In a short time, we're going to have 13,000 apartments put in Suffolk Downs. In a short time after that, those folks are going to find their way not wanting to sit on 1A or in the BS traffic that's in East Boston. Those folks are going to find their way down 145 and back road through Beachmont to get home. It's going to be an awful lot more traffic. Just looking somewhere shortly down the road, we're going to have an awful lot more traffic in our neighborhood. And, trying to look past the little nonsense of whether there's a little more congestion down the bottom end or whether it's an inconvenience for us right now in the middle end of Endicott Ave. I mean, just taking this out just a few years down the road when those apartments are built, I think we all know we're kind of tight for traffic. It takes me 35 minutes to get to my son's house on the other side of Revere now. I mean, we add those apartments, I mean, it's done. It's going to happen. We've got hotels going up on the beach. Our neighborhood is going to be a mess. So if we can take that into consideration when we make this decision, I seriously think that that's going to add a lot more harm to our neighborhood if we don't do something to slow the traffic down coming from Winthrop. That seems to be our problem. It's not the neighbors. The neighbors have all kinds of courtesy going in and around the neighborhood. But it's the traffic coming from Winthrop that shoot up Winthrop Ave and think that they can get to Beachmont Center or to the beach or somewhere else a little bit faster because there's no lights. And they do get there quicker. We can take videos of how fast they're going down the street. There actually was a woman that was going to be here tonight that had license plates and stuff, but her not being here, I can't speak for her. But if you guys could take that into consideration, I'd appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Kind of.
Hey, again.
Go right ahead.
When they had the meeting at the police station, the vote was 48-7 to turn it back. It wasn't split 50-50. So if 48 people want it back and only 7 don't, why wouldn't you listen to the 48?
Okay, well, we're trying to consider safety above all as opposed to convenience. So I think that's the main issue here.
I mean, I was there 47 years. They did try this when I was a little kid, and it
Okay.
didn't work.
It didn't work. Okay. It didn't work for what reason?
The bus was going flying, and one lady in the neighborhood knocked the sign down with a baseball bat.
I can believe that.
She did. She walked down the street and knocked the sign down with a baseball bat.
Okay.
But I mean, you guys don't live there. We do. You can do all the studies and you want, but we're the ones who sit there and watch it every day and have to deal with it. Like I said, the bus is flying, the cars are flying. It's a throughway for Winthrop. And if the cars are going in 2 ways, they're going to slow down. We got kids over there. You guys don't. I mean, my daughter's 29 now, but I still have little ones that I babysit.
Okay.
I
All right.
mean,
Your point is well taken. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, do we have an official vote on that meeting at the police station?
I don't know if it was an official, it was more of people raising hands, and there was a lot of upsetment that night. And the majority of the people that were there that evening did want it to go back to two-way. That's true. Okay, well, okay. That's okay. Sure, come, if you can make a quick point, well, we'd love to hear it. Yes.
I'm sorry. I was at that meeting also, and I don't have the exact figure like she did, but
Okay.
there was a majority of people that want it back at two-way.
Okay.
I was there.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone, again.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I guess we could put it back and do the traffic study and then revisit this issue, but my opinion is the people that were for putting it back came to the police station, the ones who liked it the way it was, who we
Didn't come.
run into all over the city. Wanted to, so it's still, in my opinion, a 50-50. Half
Okay.
want it and half don't.
Okay, so your motion
Seems
is...
like the lower end wants it and the top half don't.
Okay,
So
that's...
I don't know what the answer is. I'll wait to
Well,
hear from the other
there isn't an easy
commissioners.
answer, that's for sure. Is your motion now that it go back to a two-way?
I don't know if that's a motion, but it's throwing it out there to see what
Okay, do we
the
have
other
a second to
commissioners
that?
think.
I'll make a motion that we go back to two-way.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor, all opposed? Vote. Okay, we're back to two ways. There'll be a little period of time before we can get the signs down, maybe a week or so. And we'll be back to two ways.
And can we,
Thank you.
do a traffic study for that street sooner
We
than
can certainly-
later?
I would say make a motion on the council floor, asking us to do that, and I'm sure, we can do that.
Okay, and the other thing, I would really like to look at the streets with you, the other streets like Henry Street, Jones Road, and see if we can do something to make it better.
Well, I think we've learned our lesson, and if we're going to do something, we should do it for the whole area, all one major change.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, can I just make a suggestion that you
Sure.
have the city do a reverse call to notify the residents?
That it's
when
going back to
implemented?
two-way?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we don't have a problem.
I think mostly everyone was doing two-way anyway, but that's okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I also suggest that any studies that are undertaken, that they encompass also the minor streets that surround,
Positively, I
maybe
think.
the neighborhood in general?
Councilor McKenna is going to make that motion on the council floor, and we can certainly consider that. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just for the record also, I know the gentleman mentioned 13,000 apartments, but when the full Suffolk Downs development is built out, it's a 20-year project, and they're talking about making major improvements to Lee Burbank Highway, millions of dollars in improvements, and that will be the main way in and out of that project when the project
I agree with you. I don't see
becomes
anyone
built out. So I
kicking their way
don't,
through
in my
themselves.
personal opinion, the people going to Suffolk Downs are not going to be cutting through Beachmont.
No.
So I just want that on the record.
Thank you, Chief Guido. Okay, moving on. Number 4, amend Schedule 6 of Title 10, Heavy Commercial Vehicles Restricted Streets, by adding Vinyl Street, both sides from Broadway to Revere Beach Parkway, Mill Street, both sides from Beach Street to Revere Beach Parkway, and Revere Street, both sides from Broadway to Ocean Avenue. Do I hear anyone in favor of this proposal? Is anyone in opposition to this? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, is it possible that we take these one at a time as opposed to as a group
Oh,
of three?
positively. Okay, the first one, Vinyl Street, both sides, Broadway to Revere Beach Parkway. Oh, and just just a point of information, Chris, does this have to be approved by the state once this is contingent on their approving?
All we could do is vote that we wanted to make the changes. We have to go before the state.
Okay.
With a traffic plan.
Okay.
Alternate truck traffic.
Traffic,
So
okay.
if you want it, like Revere Street, if we restrict Revere Street.
Right.
You have to give the state a plan. They have
Okay.
to approve it, and they'll send us a notice.
Okay, so just keep in mind that this is contingent on state approval. Okay, so the first street is, did you have something to say?
I put this motion in, and the reason why is because what's happening is these trucks, I think it's because of GPS, is taking them on a shorter route. So what they're doing is they're going down to Vinyl Street, and on Mill Street, some truck, it was like a 16-wheeler, came off of Revere Beach Parkway and tried to make that turn on Mill Street and took down the signs.
Okay.
So that's the reason why this is happening.
Okay, so you're speaking about Vinyl Street and Mill Street?
Mill Street, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So if we want to take these separately, Vinyl Street, both sides, Broadway to Revere Beach Parkway.
I'll make a motion to restrict to the heavy commercial vehicles on Vinyl Street from Broadway to the Parkway.
Okay, second?
Seconding.
All in favor, all opposed? Mill Street, both sides, Beach Street to Revere Beach Parkway.
Motion.
Motion. Second, please. Second. All in favor, all opposed? And Revere Street, both sides from Broadway to Ocean Avenue. Okay. There's no interest in that?
Just so you know, Revere Street's already restricted for hazmat,
Hazmat, okay.
both directions.
Okay. So Sergeant Janino has given us
Mr.
a point
Chairman,
of
I'll make a
information.
motion, we approve it to send it to the state. But I don't know, it's going to be hard to enforce this if a truck's making a delivery to decide who's cutting through and who's not cutting through. Revere Street, I know it's residential, but it's actually a major thoroughfare across the city. And I spoke to Councilor Guanasso and asked him if he was looking to only stop the trucks on a part of Revere Street, and he said no, he wanted it all the way from Broadway to the beach.
Okay.
So I
Okay,
could
so
see
we-
the Broadway to American Legion Highway, because the trucks can go on American Legion Highway,
Highway,
so I'm willing to send it to the state and see what they say.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second on that? Sure. Mr. Malayson?
Nick Malayson, 143 Lantern Road. The only reason I want to say anything is my office is right at the corner of Revere Street and North Shore Road. The car lot, I'm there every day. Too much I'm there, actually. But when trucks turn from North Shore Road onto Revere Street, you get car carriers, tractor trailers. They've taken out that street light, like 3 or 4 times in the last 6 months, and Mass DOT's come and fixed it. So it is an issue, and I know Arthur had talked about even put no heavy trucks, but local deliveries only. And I know it is kind of hard to decipher who's making a delivery, who's not, but they're not delivering cars anywhere on Revere Street. So that's what the biggest thing I see is the car carriers taking out that light and stuff. So that is an issue, but having the state study it might be a good thing.
Okay.
See what they can do. All right?
Thank you. So do I hear a second on this?
Seconding.
Second, all in favor, all opposed? So ordered. Next order of business is number 5, amend Schedule 11 of Title 10 Handicap Person Parking Areas by adding 2 locations, 37 Centennial and 192 Bellingham.
Mr. Chairman, this is just a formality. These were done as emergencies for last month, and we just had to put them on the agenda for a public hearing.
Okay.
Both of these signs should be already installed.
Okay. So just make it official and
Motion to amend?
second?
Second.
Thank you. Number 6, amend Schedule 8 of Title 10 Parking Restrictions generally by adding Revere Street in a southerly direction from Sachem Street to North Shore Road, no parking anytime. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this?
name's Margaret Skursky, and I live at 537 Revere Street. I've lived there 50 years. Revere, that should have been no parking when they repaired the street 30-some-odd years ago.
Okay.
And they made the right-hand, left-hand turn. We need to get the cars off Revere Street. There's accidents constantly. And I personally think it's a good deal.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this?
Might as well, because I'm there 70 hours a week. It is a great idea because you have, when you come up to those 2 lanes, come up to North Shore Road, you get people that'll cut over the yellow line to try and take the left. So I think it's a great idea. And you're only really eliminating 3 or 4 parking spots because there's a bus stop there in the corner of Sachem. So you're only eliminating 3 or 4 spots.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone opposed? Excuse me.
Just for the record, I went down there a week ago. Over a week ago, I posted every house down there in the mailbox with the flyer stating, this was a public hearing this meeting.
Okay.
I put flyers on all the cars parked on both sides of Revere Street.
Okay.
And all the houses were notified.
Okay.
Plus, we advertised this 2 weeks in the Journal as opposed to the 1 week.
Okay, thank you very much. So they were all notified. Anyone wish to speak in opposition to this?
Donald O'Sullivan, 541 Revere Street. This is going to turn it into a speedway. And what are they going to do about the people that actually have no parking on the street, who park on the street? Where are they going to park? Some of them are old and elderly, and they need that parking spot so they can do their groceries and stuff like that.
So you're saying there's some people that don't have driveways and what have you?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
And it's going to be a complete speedway. People are already speeding on the street. It's going to be worse if they take the parking away.
Yeah, I think the idea is if this were to pass, we would move the yellow center line over, kind of squeeze that lane, so we could extend the left-hand turn lane further down. So I think that's the thinking behind this motion. So that center line would move closer to that side of the street.
So the speeding is going to be worse. That's going to be, it's just...
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask the gentleman a question.
Sure, oh, sure.
Sir, do you park in those 4 spaces that we're removing?
Occasionally, yes.
Okay, because I've been down there with Sergeant Janino, we've monitored it. We're basically displacing maybe 4 spaces, but we'll be able to move a tremendous amount of traffic off the beach by doing this, because the light will have a green arrow and the people that want to take a left can't get in the left-hand turn lane because it's not long enough. So as far as speeding, there's speeding to catch the light. I think this will slow the cars down because they'll be able to make the left turn because they'll already be in the lane.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Just as a point of information, I know I've had situations with some of the residents, elderly residents down there, and I've spoken in depth with Councilor Powers going back a while ago. The problem is there's only 3 or 4 spots there. There's not many, and there are a lot of people that don't even live in those properties in Revere Street that are parking there. The problem is that because of the resident parking in that area, that it would just need to be expanded, that people in those homes there, they would need to be allowed to be able to park on Sachem Street or the streets across the Bay Road.
I'm sure we can take care of
Yeah, so that will that will alleviate any of the displacement of any of the vehicles.
So, Mr. Chairman, if this passes today, I'd like to restripe the road as soon as possible and add a do not block the box at Bay Road and Revere Street so people coming out of Bay Road can take the left turn.
Okay.
Without the people on Revere Street blocking the intersection.
Okay, fine. If everyone's done speaking, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor, all opposed? Okay, so ordered. Moving on. That closes the public hearing side. We're now into requests. The first one is a request from Councilor Patch that the Traffic Commission hold a public hearing relative to the installation of a do not enter sign on Salem Street at Clifton Street.
Mr. Chairman, before Councilor Patch speaks, the sign's already up.
Yes, it is.
So my suggestion would be, I guess we can formalize it with a public hearing, but to leave the sign and fix the island so that you can go past the island, take a left turn, and that should make everybody happy.
Okay, well, does that make everyone happy?
Well, I got some comments on
Sure,
that.
go right ahead.
Charlie Patch, 44 Johnny Road, Ward 6 Counselor. The chief is right. It was put up a temporary sign, do not enter, on Clifton Street. And what happened was they weren't notified the residents on Clifton Street, so that created a problem. So we've had a couple of meetings at the North Revere neighborhood group, and it's been hashed over pretty good, and we're making progress. But it's also, by putting up a temporary do not enter, I think we should look into, in the future, that to do it temporary, it should be an emergency or an accident or something, do not enter, or, you know. A do not enter, it's been a problem for many years. I just don't, I think it should have been done in like neighborhood situation.
Okay.
Group, before it was put up. But now that it's put up, I also agree about the public safety issue. And so if you guys can get together, maybe, I would like to see them probably take out the island. I don't know why the island, I know it's got one street light on it. But if you take that out, you don't need a sign. And you can put a crosswalk for the kids to go, they have to now walk through the island to go to the other side. They could have a crosswalk. Or you can take the wire, or, you know, the top tips of the island off, and that could help.
Okay.
You know, I mean, there's stuff you can do. I mean, I'm requesting the public hearing.
Okay.
But I think we're going to have another meeting up in North Revere, September 12th. So I'm sure that's going to come up again.
Okay.
And you know, if you bring it before the public hearing in September, you'll have many more people here from North Revere to speak. So you could probably solve this. I hope you schedule the public hearing, but hopefully you can solve this before that, and we can get on and come up with a plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Okay,
Motion for a public hearing.
You want to have something to say?
Oh, sorry.
My name's Jamie Vasquez. I own the garage at 346 Salem Street. I am also a resident at 21 Clifton Street. I was one of the people that advocated to have the sign put up because of a safety issue. Didn't realize it was going to cause much grief for my neighbors, but I'm there 11 hours a day, 7 in the morning, sometimes 6:30 in the morning, and sometimes till 8 o'clock at night. I probably see more traffic in incidents at that intersection than some of the people that live there for 50 years, because I'm there through the rush in the morning, through the rush in the afternoon. You know, I know Charlie just talked about taking the island out, but if you give the traffic the ability at speed, and they travel down Salem Street sometimes 30, 40, 50, 60 miles an hour, to just take a left-hand corner without a T being there or an island being there, something they have to drive around, it doesn't slow them down. And that's the problem, what's going on right now. When the traffic is heavy going up to Cliftondale Square, they'll jump on the wrong side of the road 100 yards before where the island is. And because it wasn't a one-way, they would have the ability just to take that left at speed. They would never hit the brake. Tires squealing through the garage parking lot, almost people getting run over on the crosswalk. If you could imagine a crosswalk, the northbound traffic is going 5 miles an hour. They're coming across from the northbound side. I stop, let people by, the person in the crosswalk is going to look to the right, north, because that's the direction the traffic is coming. They don't even realize there's someone doing 40 miles an hour in the wrong lane, in the wrong direction, and they can't see who's coming across the crosswalk because it's bumper to bumper traffic there. I've gone out countless times. I've seen people jump the island. I've seen motorcycles crash at the intersection. I've swept up glass because of accidents there. I just think the only thing that we're really missing at the island, where there's a crosswalk that is on the southbound side, the crosswalk, they just restriped it. There is no sidewalk in that island, so people either walk around out of the crosswalk, up Clifton Street around the island, or in the road. So I don't think it's that much to ask for people to drive. It's 32 feet to drive around the island. A 45-foot long school bus can do it. I do it myself. Since the do not enter sign has been there, I would probably say it deterred 70% of the people from not taking that left. The majority of the people that take that left now live on Clifton Street. I see it all the time. I don't want to have to put a camera out there and say who's who. It's not the guy I am. But if you need to take a left now, if there's traffic doing 50 miles an hour down Clifton Street and they slow down, because they have to slow down because it's like a 190-degree turn, that everyone has to slow down. So it really slows the traffic down. And if the school bus can do it, everybody can do it.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, same as sediment. Nick Malason, 143 Lantern Road. I've been to a few neighborhood North Revere meetings and talked to both sides, and same like Chief Guido said, leave the sign up. I think the island just needs to be reconfigured and put a sidewalk through it. That kind of makes it safe for everybody. People walking with carriages or in wheelchairs just makes it safe for everybody.
Okay.
It's a great idea. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay. Okay. Well, we're moving this to a public hearing, so you'll, sure, everyone else has. You can certainly state it. Put your mic on and name and address.
Tony Chanka, 13 Clifton Street, North Revere. Me and El Baker, we started a neighborhood group many years ago, and we have our meetings every month, and we reach out to everybody in the neighborhood to come. Very few people show up. It's always the same dozen people. But what I want, a lot of these people didn't realize the sign was up. I myself made the turn that I've been taking for 20 years.
Right.
See the sign, I hit the brake right away, and guy behind me, good thing he was 2 cars behind me, where I would have been smashed into. And it's an encroachment issue, to be honest with you. If you look at the pictures, we have no sidewalks for the children to get off the school bus and walk across. And if you look at this here picture, and you Google it, you'll see the same thing. That side of the street is wider on our side where you put the sign up. The other side, on the Saugus side, is much more narrower. And that's a two-way lane, and it doesn't have a sidewalk. People coming from Saugus or coming up Clifton to get the bus, they have to walk in the street. So when the people go that way now, they're facing traffic, either they're back or they're in front of them. I got my grandkids getting off the bus there. I try to meet them every day. And someday if I'm not there, they have to chance their life. And sometimes there's trucks double parked all out here. Nothing against your department. I went by this morning to go out shopping in Market Basket. There's a big blue pickup with a tractor trailer thing in the back of it, a bed, double parked in the other lane of traffic. And yesterday, the day before I went out, nothing against your department, please. I'm not
taking it that way.
There was a Parks Department truck on the Salem Street side blocking the sidewalk. I see the lady, she's walking, she has to get out in the street and walk around your blue truck to get back on the National Grid sidewalk over there. Mm-hmm. It's like, it just seems like all we're doing it for is to get more cars to come out and encroach that way there. And I can give you a dozen pictures of all the cars out there. And it just, we need something like some lines there to show where the sidewalk ends. If you want, I know we're not going to get sidewalks right away. I go back to the Ambasino day when I try to get that thing, get a handicap ramp through the middle of that thing in there and cut back 8 feet on each end, put a thing for the wheelchairs to get, so the people, when they get to the island, they don't have to go out in the traffic or vice versa.
Okay.
And when the school bus comes over there, it does make the turn. You look at the back of the island, the school bus, there's no granite stone. The school bus has to drive maybe 6 inches away from that pole to make the turn. That's why that granite stone is not up in the air 6 inches or whatever the code may be. You know what I mean? It's not fair. It's just that, how many times I had to get out of my car and say, sir, please don't park there. The school bus is trying to make the turn in a couple of minutes. And I'm worried about the safety of the children on the street.
Okay.
I mean, I could see he doesn't want his workers getting hit and don't want his cars getting, I understand all that. But in my foot, I'm worried about the children. There's people walk their dogs there. There's elderly people that walk. We got to give them some kind of safety zone where they could get into that line. I don't know.
Okay.
School starts next week. I don't know if you could put some kind of line temporarily. I know you can't put sidewalks that fast, but at least give something so the children get safety, because we don't want no children getting hurt up there.
No,
That's all
well,
I
thank
got
you
to
very
say.
much for your comment. This
All
is
right.
being moved to a public hearing. Well, this is being moved to a public hearing, and we know we'll have a lot of chance to discuss it then. Do we have a motion to move this to a public hearing?
Motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, all opposed? Okay, thank you. I didn't mean to cut anyone short, but the public hearing is the place for this. Okay.
Is it all right if some of the seniors can't come, they sign their name to a petition?
Sure, they can send a letter or anything, positively. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just confused. We're mixing up the one-way sign with traffic enhancements.
Right.
So we should just, the public hearing's just for the one-way sign, and we can work with the Council Patch to, the do not enter sign, excuse me, and we can work with Council Patch to make some traffic improvements up there with the island and the crosswalks. Maybe we can even get Roseland to help us out on that.
Yeah, positively.
I'll speak to them.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
is it possible to amend what goes to the public hearing to include a do not enter on Clifton on the side north of the island, so that it's one way on one side and one way on the other side?
Yes, positively.
Because right now it's two-way on the north side, correct?
We need to fix the island for the people technically.
Right.
Well-
But I mean, if it's two-way this way, then people coming out both
I'll
sides.
second that. That's a good suggestion, Mr. Chairman.
Just put a keep right sign on the island coming up.
Yeah. Keep right.
Okay, well,
Keep them from going out.
so we'll have the public hearing to discuss the whole
Traffic
situation
flow around
at that island, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't mean to cut you short. Hey, if it,
There was a do not enter sign. Jim Waffle, the town of Saugus, actually put it up. I'm gonna say it's like 1996. It was up for a short period of time, and Revere had taken it down, right where you're talking. So, yeah.
okay, very good. So we will discuss this next month at the public hearing. Okay, our next request is Councilor McKenna requests that the Traffic Commission amend Schedule 9, Title 10 by adding Winthrop Ave, both sides from Donley Square to 995 Winthrop Avenue. Anyone wishing to speak in favor?
Mr. Chairman, exactly what are we removing?
I'll tell you what,
What are we requesting? Let's make it simple.
we are requesting that we go from 854, which is permanent parking now, to 955. That's all I want. Because what's happening is that people are, if they can't park in permanent parking, and we have a lot of three-family houses up there, apartment houses, they're moving up to where it's not permit parking. So that's all I want. I just want you to move it up from 854 to 955.
Let it clarify.
Winthrop
Mr.
Ave.
Genio has a point of information.
All right. We piecemealed Winthrop Avenue over the years, block by block by block. So what we're doing here is, we're making Winthrop Avenue permanent parking from Donnelly Square up until 955, and the second part of this here removes the piecemeal.
Okay.
So basically it puts Winthrop Ave as sticker parking and removes the garbage out of the ordinance.
All the way to 955. The very end of Winthrop Ave will still not be permit parking.
Because they don't, it's all single-family houses, mostly.
Okay.
Motion.
Motion to send this to a public hearing. Second?
Second.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
a motion to send all Council Novoselski's requests to a public hearing unless anyone has opposition.
Okay, that's number 5.
Yes.
A, B, C, D, E. Do I have a second on that? Second. All in favor, all opposed? All requests for permit parking have been moved to a public hearing. Number 6, Mr. Ralph DeChico from the Commission of Disabilities requests the following. I did? No, we sent all of them to a public hearing. All requests. Yep,
It's
everything's,
all one thing, right?
it's all going to a public hearing.
The whole Winthrop Ave was one encompassing.
Right, that's going to. All requests from you and from Councilor Novoselsky have been moved to a public hearing. Okay, now we're at number 6. No problem. That an emergency handicap person sign be installed at 58 Pearl Avenue.
So that goes with this.
Remove 512 Park Ave from Title 11, Schedule 11 of Title 10. That person move or something?
The sign's been down for a while, but it's still on the books, so we're just trying to clean it up out of the books.
Okay. C, request for a public hearing to install a handicap person sign at 25 Norman Street.
Yes.
We can move that to a public hearing?
Yes, that one could be moved to a public hearing.
Okay. All right.
Mr.
motion
Chairman, I don't think we need a public hearing for B. We could probably just vote on it.
Okay.
With the signs down.
Yeah.
Remove 512 Park Ave from Schedule 11 of Title 10. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
And number, just A, if we can just, formalities, we'll have the public hearing next month, but if we can just have that sign be installed now, because it's an emergency to have that one put up.
Is Sergeant Janino in agreement?
Yeah,
Sure.
yes. And
Motion
I'll take
on
care
A
of
and
it.
B.
Thank you.
Okay, all set. And Norman Street, you want a public hearing?
Public hearing, yes.
Okay. Public hearing for Norman Street. And number 7, the city engineer and traffic commission member, Mr. Rystrom, would like to discuss traffic issues on Pratt Place brought before him by the residents. Mr. Rystrom.
So I had a few of the residents down at Pratt Place come to my office because there were some concerns over a few different things. 2 of those were, number 1, a possible illegally painted fire zone, and then also some illegally installed speed bumps. And then also there were some issues with neighbors using trash barrels to reserve their spots, similar to what you would do in the winter, but in the summertime. And apparently there is also an owner down there that claims the street is a private road that they own. And they have, like I said, installed some speed bumps and also a fire zone, which now displaces parking to the other side and inconveniences the people on that side.
Okay.
And I wanted just to get a conversation started because it wasn't just one person that came in. It was a succession of people.
Okay.
And I didn't know, number 1, if the fire zone was legitimate or not. I can guarantee you that the speed bumps are not. Those don't belong there. But I don't know if anybody has had similar experience. But I think maybe there is some cause to at least look into, what's happening down there and possibly make some changes or adjustments through the Traffic Commission to help alleviate the problems that the residents are having.
Okay. Chief
Mr.
Guido?
Chairman, the first thing we need to determine from the city engineer is it a public street or private?
So it is a public street.
Well, then they can't put speed bumps without a vote of this commission.
Okay.
So I guess we'll check that out.
Okay.
As far as the fire zone, maybe the fire chief can
Chief Bray, could
send
you have
Deputy
maybe call
Cheever down.
Cheever? Deputy, and make a determination, okay? And maybe give me a call, and we'll take it from there.
Nick, your concern's coming from the townhouses, correct? The residents of the townhouses, because I've been getting calls for 2 years because of the apartment building.
So yes, I think that what I'm getting, and it's, sort of secondhand, but the people that live in the townhouses down on the right,
Yes.
there is a handicapped woman that's there, and then just the people that live there in general. The street goes right up to their grass and right up to the walkway, so people park in front of their houses. And so, number one is they can't park there. And a lot of those people that are parking on that side are displaced from the other side. And it sounds like a lot of it has to do with the people in the condos on the other side. They don't want to necessarily park in the lot because maybe they have to walk too far. And so they'd rather park on the street, which is very close to the front door.
Yeah, that's...
Now, as far as I can tell, the condos also have parking behind their properties.
They do.
So maybe it's just a situation of nobody wants to walk, but,
People that they don't, I've been dealing with it for 2 years now. They don't want people to park in front of their townhouses. They have handicap and regular parking behind the townhouses, but people from the condos are parking there along with commuters are parking on Pratt Place. And there's also a problem with the condos are charging them to plow when they plow the lot, to plow the street.
Right. So that's the other part of it is.
Yes.
There is some type of an issue with the condo on the other side, claiming that they own the street and making changes and charging people for plowing.
Yeah.
That
So you're getting that too.
is crazy. I mean, I can tell you just in conversations with the clerk's office and just city records that that street is officially city property. And I haven't found any
Because that's why I
indication
told them
that
to
it
check
was-
to make sure it's city.
Right, so I haven't found any record that says it was transferred to anybody else. I can't see any situation where that would happen. So there's a problem there which maybe would require some, enforcement by the police or inspectional services or, whoever else. But I bring it up only because it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't just one person. People have been in my office, there was like a parade, and it wasn't just, 1 or 2 days, it's been over time. So, I wanted to get the conversation started and hopefully get on a path to rectifying, the shenanigans that are going on down there.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, this concludes our Traffic Commission hearing. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion second?
Second.
Okay, we're adjourned till the last Thursday in September, I believe? Okay, all right. So tentatively, it's the last Thursday in...
Just for the record, that fire lane down Pratt Place is not on the books. It was never approved by the city.
Okay,
And there are no regulations for Pratt Place on the books currently.
okay. Thank you very much.